Hey guys, Cam for 15 back at it with another video for you guys. And yeah, this is the first video in quite a while. I don't know how many weeks it passed, but it's been the first video in quite a few weeks. Just been busy with work and a bunch of other stuff to where, it sucks. I can't make as many videos as I once was, as I used to, because one, I don't have enough free time in my schedule. And then two, it's just like, oh boy, you know, what do I do when I get home? When I get home, I just want to lay down and rest because it's been a long day of work. But hopefully going to the new year, even though I will still have work, I find ways to get out there and freaking just get these videos out. Because I know like for future anime seasons, next anime season's pretty good. Spring of anime is really damn good. They just loaded up on spring of anime like crazy, man. And now we're getting basically the last bits of the fall of anime 2023. But I'm here to talk about Shield Hero season 3. And then obviously I just haven't been talking about um the season on a weekly basis in terms of episodes. But the last episode of season 3 aired today. So in a way, I guess I'm giving kind of my overview of the last episodes of the season that I talked about or I watched. And altogether, my whole thoughts on season 3. Now, obviously, my co-host isn't here today. He's at work right now, and plus, even when he gets home, he's going for Christmas to go to Mexico. So he will not be on this video. Wish he was, but it is what it is. But anyway, season 3 Shield Hero. The back half of the season was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. Again, Shield Hero for me, this entire run, the 3 seasons, obviously, there's controversy in the fact that season 2, to many people's eyes, wasn't as good, if not great, like the first season was. And personally, if you ask me, you go to my season 2 reviews which are on the channel. I said season 2, I don't know why people hated season 2. Just because season 2 wasn't the content that they maybe wanted to see. I don't know what it was. I thought Shield Hero was still pretty good for season 2. It wasn't the best, and clearly you can make the case that it is by far of the 3 seasons the weakest season out of the bunch, but it's still a pretty damn good season. And I don't understand why people hate Shield Hero season 2, but that's for their own reasons. Everybody has their own opinion, so I can't judge you for it. I just think people just didn't like that Shield the tortoise arc and everything. The back half was pretty good, but for some reason season 2 didn't resonate with everybody. Don't know why, but this, I would say season 3 got people back on track. And personally, I always like to give the opinion, or I like to give the opinion, well, if you hated the last season, don't even bother jumping on the 3rd season, because that just shows me, all right, you don't you have to watch a episode week by week instead of watching waiting for the full season to go and air, and then you can form your opinion. Personally, I'm with that person that, okay, you may not like an episode, you just hope that the next episode does better. And if it doesn't really do it for you, well, then just drop the anime and don't watch it anymore. That's personally like my opinion on animes. If like you're not having a blast or enjoyment watching a show, why punish yourself to keep watching the episodes? Or if you're not liking what you're getting and you're just watching in hopes that, okay, hopefully it gets better here, just drop the anime and just not watch it. But Shield Hero season 3, the back half kind of consisted a little bit of this Galleon plot line, as well as Nafumi recruiting the other the other heroes, or the other cardinal heroes. And then the last episode, which was episode 12, we get some interesting developments in regards to Raftalia, and in terms of where the story will be going for season 4. Whenever that is announced, you would have to think that season 4 is going to be announced, because if this show has 3 seasons, this show's gonna clearly get a fourth season. Now, at the end of this episode, they showed the logo of season three, and then they took away the three. They didn't add any four or anything, basically confirming that, oh, season four is coming. But I have a sneaking suspicion that season four will be coming. Don't know when it's gonna be coming. It could be a year from now. It could be 2 years from now. Shit, it could be as long as the wait for freaking season two was after season one. I hope not. I hope it doesn't take another 5 years just to get season four to go. But, maybe they go that approach and they're like, you know what? Let's just give ourselves a break from Shield Hero content. Because remember, season two and season three, they were kind of back to back seasons. Yeah, season two had a little bit of a break gap, but then, like, basically, this season of anime, we got season three of Shield Hero. So I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they take a year or two off and then they come back with season four. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. But I guess I'll break down each of the storylines. The Windia storyline with Galleon, I thought that was pretty cool. It's cool that now for me now has like a dragon in his party in a way, who are one of his members of his party, Galleon. It was pretty cool to see like the first few episodes of getting to know and understand Galleon. I'm like, all right, this is cool. And then things get flipped upside his head when he basically eats that little crystal ball Naofumi got from the other world and everything, and then turns into like this freaking crazy ass strong like ancient like dragon, and I thought that was it was a pretty crazy battle, and everything. And the whole thing with Windia, the fact that like, oh, her upbringings and her storyline kind of is like, oh, the dragon was essentially like her father, or somebody that took care of her throughout her child life and everything. And that whole story was great and everything. The fight was amazing. And them getting Galleon back, it was pretty cool. And that was also in an effort to save Philo, which, shockingly enough, Philo took like a huge back burner this freaking season. Like, to be honest, Philo, outside of like the first few episodes, didn't really do much of anything. It was kind of mostly a Naofumi and like even Raphtalia centric like season. But mostly like it was mostly like a Naofumi / hero, centric series, Cardinal Hero centric series, with obviously the supporting cast right then and there. But to be honest, Philo barely did much of anything on this season. I'm not trying to say I'm disappointed in that, but I was just like, they really gave her nothing to do. Obviously, in a way, like, there really isn't nothing she could do. It's not that she's weak, but it's quite interesting. Also, too, that little curse ability that was, like, put on her is also gone after she was saved. So, that was kind of the interesting thing. Also, it was kind of interesting that Alta was able to do damage to the dragon, and everything. And at first, like when she was setting up her final attack, it was like it was like setting her up like as if she was gonna die or something. I was like, they're gonna kill Alta? Oh my god! But luckily, she's still alive. I love her character. Alta's just a great character. I think there's something interesting to be there with this Alta character. I don't know what they're planning or where they're planning on taking Alta. And obviously her brother as well. In the story direction, but we do know like the continent they're going, which is Quentin Low, they also come from that country as well. So I would envision like we're gonna get another big season in regards to them, but they were just great characters too. Alta's great. Also, I just love the banter between her and Raphtalia when it comes to Naofumi. It's this freaking girl that has a crush on Naofumi because Naofumi saved her life from basically dying when she was on her deathbed essentially. So I guess you can understand why she has feelings towards Naofumi. Now, it's funny because I was talking with my co-host, the Red Wolf, like off camera, like one point. I was like, I wonder if Alta will be able to age older to where like Raphtalia's age is at essentially. And if that's only gonna just increase this like whole relationship drama between Naofumi, Raphtalia, and and everything, because we kind of know Sedina, she kind of hits on Naofumi, but To be honest, she only does it, I think, out of just funniness and spite. Because in the 12th episode, she did pose a very interesting question to Nafumi, which I was like, yeah, okay, these questions need to be asked right then and there. And basically, she essentially pressed Nafumi in the final episode of season 3, essentially saying, so like, look, if you have been to take her hand in marriage, in a way, it's kind of like she was also telling Nafumi, like, you have my blessing to do it. I'm not really like, I would not be phased by that. If you marry her, hey, I'm all for it, essentially. And Nafumi did the same old where he tells Sedina, like, I only view her as a daughter. And Sedina was like, uh-huh. Is that how you really feel, though? Do you really feel to her? And I feel like this upcoming season, in regards to this Raftalia storyline that looks like it's going to be heavily centric on Raftalia, maybe this is going to be the season where we finally have it to where Nafumi eventually admits that he doesn't view Raftalia as a daughter, more than likely, and that he probably loves her, probably as a romantic partner, with where it seems like they're going. Because they tease that, and then this whole ancient royal bloodline that Raftalia is in, which I'm going to get into in a second. I just have a feeling that it's teasing towards this Raftalia Nafumi like thing happening. Which I've been saying this thing needs to happen. Clearly, Nafumi's been dense as hell, or maybe he understands or he sees that Raftalia is making moves. It's trying to hit on him or trying to project her feelings towards him. It's just he's being too dense, or he just ignores them completely for some reason because he views her as a daughter. Which I guess in some cases you can understand why he feels like that, but in other cases it's like, dude, like, she's a companion of yours. Like, yes, obviously she when you found her, she was like a little girl, but obviously she aged up, and everything through the level up thing. So I guess in a way it's kind of somewhat appropriate, I guess. I don't even know what Raftalia's true age is right now, but we'll see. Anyways, the Cardinal Hero storyline. It was an interesting storyline, and this storyline was essentially in preparation to prepare for the Phoenix that is coming and everything. The Ren storyline was really good. I really did. I think out of all the heroes, by far, he was my favorite one to come out of that whole storyline with, his doubts and everything. Absolute. I thought he had the best one. Motoyasu, it was like, he really just kind of like agreed to do this because he is just a weird Philo crush. Whatever. So he's basically being self-serving to the point he's calling Nafumi freaking father, so I guess he's on the good side now. But Ren, I would say he had the best one out of the bunch. Out of the three others, out of Motoyasu, Ren, and Itsuki. I just liked his story, in terms of getting his backstory, understanding why in a way he kind of believed mine to an extent. But then eventually it was kind of the way of Eclair kind of waking him up, out of that mindset, always kind of saying like, it's okay, you need help sometimes. And that's kind of what all the heroes kind of went through. Even Itsuki went through that too, as well. And that's just their issues that they had to overcome from the Spirit Tortoise type of situation there. I do ship Itsuki and not Itsuki. I do ship Ren and Eclair. I think it's pretty much clear, or it's getting implied that Ren and Eclair have something going. It is gonna have something going on between the two, because it seems she seems to have his back, and she's supporting him, and they're training together. So I'm like, okay, yeah. After this whole stuff is done, I can definitely see it to where Ren eventually settles down, and he probably settles down with Eclair. More than likely. I ship it. I'm all for it. It's pretty cool. Well, with the exception of Mount Tuyasu, because I don't support that at all. It's pretty cool. All the Cardinal heroes, with the exception of Motoyasu, they kind of have somebody they're shipped with. Nafumi with Raftalia, Ren with Eclair, and then Itsuki with Rishia. And then the Itsuki storyline of the fact that like in a way, it was kind of generic for him, to be honest. It's kind of like one of Yasu was like, all right, I could care less about Itsuki. It was just kind of the thing is he was just getting duped and he was getting faked out by Mine. Essentially, like, he was making them all this money and then Mine just ends up leaving and freaking just taking all that money and doing that. And then he's just thinking like, oh, Nafumi is this evil guy or whatever. He's doing all this. And obviously Rishia brings him back, saying, you know, and everything and helping him. So, yeah, honestly, outside of Ren, the other Cardinal Heroes didn't really have any, like, really, like, engaging storylines when it comes to Mine essentially, well, freaking lying to their faces and everything and just betraying their trust. So, like, Ren had the best story out of the bunch. The other two were just like, all right, I guess. You just got duped or everything. Which it makes no sense. Like, why would you trust that girl? Now, they do show Mine. She's on some sort of boat. I don't know what her plans are, nor do I know what she's trying to do. She also has her slave crest, like, removed for some odd reason. Don't know how that happened either. I don't know what they're going with the Mine direction. It's gonna be interesting. Maybe we'll find out as this show progresses. But clearly, she's gonna be a thorn in the side. And when the moment she ends up being killed, or locked up for good or whatever, I swear, you know, I'm gonna be so happy when that happens because it's like, okay, we don't have to have this, you know what, messing around in the story. But obviously, from a story perspective and her conniving character, she's good to keep around because you don't know what's up her sleeve. She could be doing something. I don't know what her plan is, what her goal is. You know, we know she wanted to be a queen and everything, so we'll find out. We will find out. So that's kind of the thing there. And then obviously the last episode, in terms of this Quentin Lowe storyline, you know, it was pretty interesting because it's like, I'm watching the episode, everything is fine and dandy. You know, obviously, Sadina pops the question to Nafumi about his feelings towards Raftalia, and everything, you know, which I think it's now, with Sadina essentially bringing that up, I think it's now going to spark something within not Raftalia, Nafumi, to not view Raftalia as a daughter, probably view her as her own woman, and then eventually, slowly but surely, start to fall for her. And I think that's what next season is going to be about, because what we see in this episode, essentially, you know, when the blacksmith guy comes to the village and he ends up like enhancing their like costumes they had from the other world in season 2, you know, Raftalia wears the like, she wears the like samurai like kimono, you know, that she wore in the second season. And then, like, when Sadina shows up, she was like, you need to take that shit off. Like, immediately, take that off. And I was like, what the hell is she talking about? I'm like, don't tell me this is some, like, weird, evil thing or something, or some sort of thing that she's seeing that we can't. Only to find out, oh, no, this other country called Quentin Lowe, if she wears robes like that, she's essentially, like, saying that she's gonna be this, like, basically this queen of this country. And we find out that Raftalia, this entire time, is of royal blood, which it absolutely blew my mind. I was like, she's of royalty? Are you serious now? I'm like, oh my god! And then when Sadina essentially explains, like, yeah, I used to be a royal knight, essentially, I was watching over, my duty was to watch over Raftalia and her family line, but when her parents ended up leaving the country to go to Melramark, I abandoned my duties, went to follow them, and she was basically Raftalia's bodyguard. So she went through, so that explains how she knew Raftalia from a young age, and back early on in the season, how Raftalia knew who Sadina was. And then we find out, okay, because always the question was, all right, then how did the two get separated? You know, if that's the case, we find out when the first wave hit, obviously, Raftalia got lost, slave traders picked her up, blah, 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 blah. Her parents got killed. Sedina, in the meantime, she was like out to sea, like she was going fishing, and she got attacked by monsters of the way. So by the time she got back, it was already too late. The slave traders had freaking taken Raftalia, and that was basically it. And essentially, in a way, Sedina felt like, well, there's nothing else. She's gone. I can't do much of anything. And maybe Sedina was also probably doing like these tournament fights and maybe even look for Raftalia for like a short time, but eventually, maybe after some time, she probably gave up and she said, well, then Raftalia probably got bought by somebody, so there's nothing I could do about it if she's somebody's slave. So in a way, you can kind of get an understanding of why Sedina probably gave up on Raftalia after she was taken. But luckily, Nafumi found Raftalia and everything's all good. But, essentially, by Raftalia wearing that freaking robe she wore from season 2, she's essentially declaring herself that she's gonna be like this empress of the country and everything. And essentially that's like a declaration of war. And these people just come in, these assassins that came in, the Cardinal Hero's weapons don't even affect these guys. They have weapons or some sort of ability that counteracts their weapons, because they were breaking like Nafumi's airstrike shields. They were like, Raftalia's attacks weren't doing much of anything. Ren's attacks, freaking Itsuki shot like an arrow rain, and these guys like take the hit and they're just like, all right, let's go, let's get back to fighting. And they act like nothing happened. So this country has something against the Cardinal Heroes, or some sort of like armor or something that it doesn't they're not affected by Cardinal Hero weapons, which is going to be very interesting going into next season. And that's kind of where we're at. I guess we kind of see somewhat what the Empress could look like. It's going to be very interesting. Who knows? But the plan for next season, Nafumi essentially is like, he's obviously like, well, and he even says like to Sedina, like, and when we find out this country, Quentin Lowe, they've been watching Raftalia since the day before she was even born. So they've been spying on her family, and once Raftalia was born, they've been looking over her, watching over her this entire time. And Nafumi is like, wait, these dudes pretty much watched her entire life, and through all the bullshit she went through her entire life, they did absolutely nothing. And Sedina's like, well, to them, they probably felt like, oh, it's a lost cause. But the moment she put that robe on, well, okay, we have an exact reason to want to go kill Raftalia now, because, oh, now you want to come back to our country. Now you want to try to be an empress or something like that. To them. And obviously that pisses off Nafumi, because he's like, all right, you're messing with somebody I care about. You're messing with somebody who's a companion to me, someone who I deeply care about. And if you're gonna try to hurt somebody to do that, and you're not gonna stand by them, well, then you're gonna get it. So the season ends off with basically Nafumi flying off into the next destination to prepare to set off on a voyage to go to Quentin Lowe. Luckily, it seems like Melremark is going to support Lularona village and protect it for the time being and everything. Alta and her brother have another conversation with the king again, the former king. They asked like, oh, will we see you again and everything? And I thought it was pretty cool that, even though this stupid dude is still calling him the shield demon, Alta's like, don't use those words, and she essentially tells the king like, no, Nafumi's been doing a great job. He's been taking care of me. He saved my life and everything. So, that's kind of the thing. And the moment she's like, oh, Nafumi's coming, the king just walks away. So I don't know if the king's gonna have like second feelings, and maybe eventually he's going to end up like forgiving Nafumi or actually liking him. I don't know. He may never will, but it's going to be very interesting to see where season 4 is going. But season 4, it's going to be a very interesting storyline. It's definitely going to be Raftalia centric. I highly doubt that this is gonna be a type of thing. Now it's probably gonna be a war between the Cardinal Heroes versus Quentin Lowe. Don't know how it's gonna go. I highly doubt Raftalia will take the throne. She'll probably express like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I just want to live with my friends. And also too, I just have a sneaking suspicion this is gonna lead to the fact that Nafumi is gonna start to fall for Raftalia eventually, more than just and he's not gonna view her more than a daughter, just as a daughter anymore. He's probably gonna view her as her own woman, and he's gonna view her as somebody that he wants to protect till the day he dies, because again, like I said, or what I won't say like I said, but listen, Raptal, we've seen throughout the course of the seasons, 2 seasons already, and even in some bits of season 3, Naofumi cares a lot about Raftalia. He really does. Not only because that's like his first companion, the first person to be by his side and didn't betray him like mine did, but he truly does care about her, because that's a person that's been there for him and been able to pick him up at his lowest. And I think eventually Nafumi is going to realize I can't view her as a daughter anymore. I have to view her as her own woman, and she's done so much for me. And I think at some point he's going to realize that he's in love with her. Like, there's so many times this season when they're just hanging out in the village and they're overlooking the village, like, and I think I mentioned this in my last episode review when it came to season 3. Just to me, it looks like with all the little demi-human children and everything, even though there's other adults kind of helping out and everything, like Eclair, obviously the old martial arts teacher, Rishi and everything, and even now the other Cardinal Heroes in a way that are helping out as well. Nafumi and Raftalia are kind of overseeing everything. And in a way, it's kind of like, oh, they're like mother and father. They're like father and mother to these demi-human children. In a way, it's kind of as if they are acting like they're a married couple anyway. So it's like, well then shit. Why can't just Nafumi just freaking wife her up already? So I don't know. That's what it comes across to me. That's what always came across to me in certain moments of the season. It was like they're coming out and they're walking together and everything. I'm like, it sounds like they're looking like they're together. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. And then Sadina, she popped the question off of me. And again, like I said, it seems like Sadina's completely on board. Obviously, we know Sadina messes with Nafumi all the time and Raftalia in terms of like how much she hits on Nafumi. But she basically told Nafumi and said like, so you gonna marry her or what? So that's gonna be the thing. I don't know if we'll get like some sort of like weird marriage or engagement proposal or some shit like that. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. I don't know if that's gonna happen early soon. Like, I can see it where Nafumi ends up like wanting to be engaged or marry, or wants to marry Raftalia, like probably by the series end. I don't even know in terms of like the series for like the books or whatever, how far they're at, or if the series is even finished. But I just have the sneaking suspicion that this season's gonna have heavy Raftalia vibes and Nafumi vibes in terms of, his care and his love for Raftalia. And when I mean love, not love just platonically, his love more than likely romantically for Raftalia, and be able to go into this other country and essentially say, we want nothing to do with you, leave her alone, otherwise I'm going to do this. Like, he's literally Nafumi's literally picking a war with another country just because, essentially because of Raftalia. Again, if that doesn't tell me that man does not love Raftalia in a romantic type of sense, I don't know what that means. Even though he says, as of now, he views her as a daughter. Again, I feel like next season, as they establish it, it's going to change. Like, who knows? Maybe these people could be like, why do you care so much about Raftalia and everything? And who knows? Maybe that's when Naofumi eventually admits that he's in love with her. I don't know. We'll see. But season 4 looks to be very hype in the direction they're going. Season 3 overall was a pretty damn good season. I still think season 1 is by far the best season, but this was a close second one. Season 2, I thought it was good. It's by far the weakest. It's setting up that season 4 could be really damn good. And I'm just happy that Shield Hero, people are giving it its flowers again. Not a lot of people talked about Shield Hero this season because they weren't too impressed or they didn't like season two, which I think is disservice. I thought season two was good, but all right, I guess not to other people. But hopefully in season four, after the great stuff season three gave us, I hope in season four, when it comes back, people talk about it and they do reviews on it and they talk about it on a weekly basis, whether it's reactions, reviews, blah 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 blah. Because Shield Heroes is still a really damn good season. So yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on Shield Hero Season 3, the last few episodes of Shield Hero, as well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more Shield Hero content as we continue on whenever the series comes back. And things like that. But till then, guys, stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great Christmas. So yeah. Anyways, till then, guys, stay safe out there. Peace.